Back at it again, everyone. I got a very good friend today on Bonbon and Friends podcast, Brenda Saucedo.
Yeah, Saucedo.
Right? Good friend. We go way back. Thank you so much for being here, Brenda.
So excited to be here.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We go way back to really my first kind of introduction to the entertainment industry.
Wow, yeah.
We were both read by the same manager.
Yeah, we both worked on the same web series.
On the web series, I feel we created that first web series.
That's so crazy. I feel like we both kind of grew up in the industry because we both were starting.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to see kind of where we're at now.
Yeah, and we're still going.
I know, we're
still going. So Brenda, thank you so much for coming on and hopping on.
So excited to be here.
I wanted to start off this year just doing what I want to do, and this is something that I've always wanted to do, and highlight my friends and just talk to them and kind of see where they've come from and what they've been up to and what they're doing. So what I always like to ask everyone in the beginning, what kind of world were you brought into?
Well, I'm the oldest child of I'm a first generation Mexican American. So both my parents came from Mexico.
What part of Mexico are they from?
My mom is from Veracruz and my dad is from Zacatecas. So I think growing up, I really kind of felt that pressure of they came to this country for a better life for me.
Yeah.
So it was always especially I think just going to college. I remember when I was young, telling my parents that I wanted to do acting. Yeah. They were like, no, we did not just go through all that for you to say you're going to do acting. They're like, how about law? Or how about being a doctor? And it just kind of always stuck with me. I was like, no, but I just really like acting. I like working in the industry. Yeah. So I think that was kind of a challenge of just trying to convince them that that's what I wanted to do.
Were you born here though?
Yeah. I was born here, specifically in Torrance, California. I never lived in Torrance. I was just born there. But I grew up here in Ontario. And yeah, it's just, again, just trying to convince them. And I feel like the breakthrough thing happened when I booked a JCPenney commercial for my family. It was I had to submit
Your
a picture.
entire family?
My entire family, yeah. I had to submit a picture. They were specifically looking for a Mexican family to do this traditional Christmas thing. So I submitted a picture, then I took a video of all my family without them knowing. I was like, I'm just going to do it. I don't know if I'm going to book it, but whatever. And we ended up booking it. And I told them, I was like, hey, so we booked a commercial. They're like, what? And dude, a big, kind of limo bus ended up picking us up because we lived here in Ontario. So they were going to take us to the valley to in this amazing house to film. And they picked us up. We went there. My parents had no idea what was happening. It's like, what are we doing? I was like, just show up. Yeah. They're going to pay us. And it was a good pay. So they're like, okay, yeah, we'll do it.
Wait, they picked you up in a limo?
It was a big bus because it was a total of 12 of us. It's have you seen those big Mercedes-Benz buses that fit 13
passenger vans?
Yeah. So it was huge. And we're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, legit.
Yeah. So we ended up showing
How old were you when you did that?
It was, I think I was maybe 19, 20, because I remember I was a freshman in college. And there's where I was just having that discussion of but I want to major in cinema and TV arts. They're like, no. Yeah. No. I was like, we're not no. I was like, figure something out. And I think it wasn't until they went on set and they just saw everything that was happening that they're like, oh my gosh, you do this every day. I was like, well, I don't book something every day, but this is the goal. This is what I love. And they got the whole royal treatment. I remember my dad, he hadn't shaved, so he's like, oh my gosh, I wish I would have brought some shavers. And a PA overheard that, and literally without even telling him anything, ran to the store, bought some shaving cream and lasers, and came back. He's like, oh, here. My dad's like, oh my gosh, no, I didn't say that for you guys to do. No, it's okay. And I think them just kind of experiencing that, we're like, oh my gosh, this is okay. Keep doing what you're doing. And then obviously, I got my first big job at Telemundo, and that's known in the Hispanic community. So I think once they saw that, they're like, okay, you do what you want to do.
You got this.
Yeah, you got this. You're not just fooling around, and they just never looked back. I just kept doing what I did, and I think it got to a point that they're like, you know what, we're proud of you. Good job for that.
What a great experience, I think, for your parents coming from where they come. What did your parents do? What was the kind of lives did your parents have?
Yeah, I mean,
To get there at one point, having a PA bring something that they didn't even ask for.
I know. I mean, my dad has always just worked kind of like warehouse jobs and all
Mhm.
that, like similar to my mom. They both came from Mexico. So yeah, it was just kind of like the type of jobs that they had growing up, like at least just coming to this country. So yeah, like I think like for them, Hollywood was just like very far reach for them.
Yeah.
And just being that close, or like me kind of giving them a little piece of it, was like, wow, like this is what happens. And yeah, and I think I feel like it's been a blessing for me to be able to give my parents certain opportunities like that. Like there's a big popular, like Jose was like one of my mom's hugest idols. And I remember filming a music video with him.
Oh, dope.
And telling my dad, hey, come pick me up. Do you want to come inside and meet him? He's yeah. And they were able to take a picture with him.
Wow.
And I remember I was like, oh my gosh, this is insane. And then they wanted to do like a Juan Gabriel. They wanted to go to a concert. I remember my mom would always say, before he dies, I want to go to a concert. And when I was working at Telemundo, they gave me tickets. And I was like, here, you guys go. Because, I mean, I like him, but I'm like, it's more of you guys' type of generation. Yeah. And that was his last concert before he passed away. They attended his last concert. Wow. So my mom was like, wow, like that's insane. Yeah, so like little things like that, I feel like my mom has just been like, wow. And right now, working for Netflix, I got them like a sweater and all that, and they're all swagged out. They're like, this is crazy. My dad goes to work like at his warehouse job, and he takes like his Netflix like swag, and they're like, wait, do you work at Netflix? Like, because they don't sell the swag, like it's just specifically for the employees. And they're like, where did you get that? Like, do you work there? And he's like, my daughter works there. Yeah. So it's like a proud moment for him to be able to say that, you know. And they're like, no way. Yeah, so it's interesting just kind of looking back to see everything that has happened. Sure. Yeah.
So what was it like growing up? How many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have 2 brothers and 1 sister.
And you're the old. You grew up. Yeah. All you guys grew up in Ontario together.
Yeah, we all grew up in Ontario.
What was that like for you, being the oldest, having a son? Because I always feel the oldest does have to chop down the tree, chop down the jungle, the trail, so the siblings could go and figure it out. And so that it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Yeah. I have an older brother, and I've seen what he had to go through to chop down the things to make it bigger for me, and so I can make it bigger for my my younger brothers.
That's true. I don't know. I feel like the olders are always kind of the ones that the parents are the hardest on. Just because I feel like a first-time parent, you're trying to figure everything out. So I feel like in a way I got like the most quote unquote punishment. So like, you're grounded for doing this. And now I see that my little brother gets away with so much. And I was like, I would have like, I would have gotten my phone and I would have been locked up in my room for a month. Yeah. And you just said like, oh, don't do that again. Like, come on. So I don't know. But in a way, I think I'm kind of thankful that they were that hard on me, because I feel like in a way I kind of felt this pressure to just make sure to, you know, if I wasn't going to be a doctor or lawyer, then I better do something in the entertainment industry. And that kind of lit a fire of like, you know, it's hard, but keep going and keep doing it. And even now, you know, like I'm entering almost my 30s this year.
Whoa.
So it's really doing that too, of like, okay, like what's next? And I think it's never really settling. It's always like, okay, I achieved this goal. Now what's the next thing and the next thing and the next thing? Because I feel it's not just on me. Like I think I love my family, and I always tell them like my success is your success, you know? Yeah. And I think like my brother, for instance, he's a professor at Cal State San Bernardino. He's the only one that got a master's. I hate him for that, but
wow, congrats to him though.
I know. I was like, I want to get a master's, but it's fine. I'm really proud of him. And I think me and my brother are both 10 months apart. So I feel like in a way he also kind of got like that. Like,
you guys are really close in age.
Yeah, that roughness of like, you know, no, you have to, you know, continue that pressure in a way. But I don't like saying pressure, because it's not like, oh my gosh, we were like just so stressed all the time. No, like I think it's this thing of like, you know, our parents came here for a reason. We want to do something. And again, like my brother, nobody ever gave him like, you shouldn't do math, because he graduated with math and physics. My parents never told him anything about that. Like, yeah, that's great. I think it was always more for me, because they're like, you're going to die of starvation. My dad would always say that. You're going to die of hunger. You're going to die of starvation. Like, so many people want to do this. Yeah. And again, it wasn't to like, okay, you're getting paid well now. You're fine. It's okay.
Growing up, were you very out there as a child? Like, were you about performing? Were you about all that stuff?
Yeah, like I think, I don't know, like I just sometimes feel like you're born with this sometimes, you know, like I think you told me that too, that when you were a child, it was just always experimenting with everything. And I remember just sitting down and watching telenovelas and being like, oh my gosh, like how do I get in that screen? Like I want to do that. And from a very young age, I remember telling my mom, like, I want to do acting. I want to do acting. I want to do acting.
So this is something you've always said to your parents.
Since I was like 6 years old, and I would do like little school plays here and there. And I remember, like we were at the mall one day and somebody approached us like, hey, we're casting, like we're actually looking for like, you know, like your child. And I was like, no. I was like, Mom, please. She would always say no. And I think my mom's mentality was like, she's gonna get over it. Like, you know, as soon as, and she would always tell me that as soon as you're a teenager and you're still with this craziness of acting, then you could do it, but not anytime before. And the minute I hit like 13, 14, I was like, okay, I want to do it. They're like, okay, just finish middle school once you get to high school. And it was always that. And once I got to high school and I started working, I was like, okay, there's no excuse now. I could pay for my own classes, which is how I got into, you know, our acting studio that we went to. And I was there for like a good 5 years, and I started auditioning. And I remember I didn't have a car, so my parents would have to drive me. And they were always very strict, because I remember if I had like 2 auditions that week, they'd be like, okay, choose one. We could take you to one, but like not the other, because they work. So they would have to get out of work. It's
a lot for parents to do that, to be, to support. You want to support your kid, but to even, all right, now you got they booked it. Now the parent has to be there on set all day for you. So it is a lot of commitment.
It is. And I feel like, I think especially when you're starting and you're just, all you want to do is audition to book that one role. But you know, you have to maybe go to like 10 auditions before booking anything. And I think I was auditioning and my parents were like, you're not booking anything. Like,
this is a waste of time. Like, what are we doing here?
And I remember this was like before like me having cell phones. So I was like, okay, take me to this audition. That was during the week. And then I had my other audition on a Saturday. So I remember, I don't know, I Googled it, because back then I didn't have a phone. So I Googled it. I printed out the instructions. I was like, okay, I think I got this. I rode my bike to like the metro station, then like hopped on a bus to go to my audition. And when my parents woke up, they were freaking out. They're like, where is she?
How old were you when you did this?
I was older already. I think I was like 14, 15.
But still, that's still a young age to just dip out the house and hit the metro. And have you ever done this before?
No, never. And I think this was when my parents were like, she's going to get kidnapped. And
you didn't have a phone on you?
I didn't have a phone. Yeah.
Brenda.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
I was committed little girl.
Did you book the audition?
Yeah. I filmed
it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It was like for a music video, and I booked it, and that was like my first, like in a way, little big thing. And I was so happy, and I was so proud of myself just for like, yes, like this paid off. But I think like ever since then, my parents were like, never do that again. Like whatever, we'll take you, I guess.
Yeah.
And obviously, like the older I got, like then I got a car, and then I got a cell phone. So they're like, okay, go do whatever it is that you want to do. Yeah, on your own. But yeah, it's been a wild experience.
Wow. Do you remember your so you were auditioning in high school already?
Yeah, I was in high school. Yeah, my very first audition was for Disney Channel, and it was specifically, I think, like for a show called Good Luck Charlie.
Good Luck Charlie,
yeah. I was auditioning for the best friend role.
Great. Oh, you could have booked that. Yeah.
I know. And oh my gosh, I remember I was like, I really want this. But again, it was my first audition, and it's fine. Like, we've been in the industry. We know we get like the most rejections, like out of, I feel, any other career.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that was a very interesting experience. And you get so close to roles at times that you're like, oh my gosh, I'm definitely going to book this. And it's like between you and like 3 other people, and then they go with someone else, and you're like, those I've cried. Like, we went to an audition once where we both got a call back, and you ended up booking it. Do you remember that? It was for a commercial.
Was it the
photo booth?
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I cried.
Oh, yeah.
I cried when I did not get that.
Oh shit.
Because it was us. It was like,
remember this.
It was between like you and I think like 3 other people, and they were only going to book 2. And it was like between me and like 2 other girls, and they were only going to book 2, something like that. So they ended up cutting another guy out, and they cut me out. And I was like, oh my, because I really wanted to do that commercial. And then I think especially because you were there too, I was like, oh my gosh, like I know him. We could totally do
this together.
Yeah. And I remember I cried, and I remember crying to my agent. Like, I really wanted this. Like, it's fine. It's fine. And I was like,
I do remember that. And that was, yes.
Yeah.
If there's any consolation, it wasn't that big. It didn't go, like, it was a small little thing that, it literally was for the photo booth.
Yeah. Well, thank you for making me feel better.
I do remember, that's right. I do. And then I remember getting the call because we were working on the web series that we had made.
Yeah.
And
I remember that.
I remember editing it, and our manager called. Okay, so in high school, you wanted to audition and everything. That's when you get with the school, and that's when you start. Or was Tommy your first manager?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Tommy was my first manager.
And you got with him during high, like you were 14 years old. Okay, got it.
I was. So I remember I joined like.
Did you find? How did you look up? How did you even find it?
I remember I Googled it, and I was like, just an acting class near Ontario, and I feel like Tommy's only one.
Yeah, he is.
We should really like start an acting studio.
Yeah,
I mean, I've thought about that. I was like, oh my gosh, we could totally start another acting studio.
You know what? And and I'm not with Tommy anymore. He was my first manager.
Yeah, I'm not with him either. There's reason, guys.
No, nothing bad against him. You know, there was something, I think, to providing something like this to people in our community out here.
Yeah.
You know, because there aren't, like, for us, like, the idea of creating an acting studio, like, to be able to introduce
literally
this passion in life, this career to people out here who aren't exposed to it, or who have those connections out there and whatnot. And so you started so you didn't do acting class or drama in school or anything like that?
No, I mean, I took drama classes and all that, like in high school. But I remember Tommy was like my first kind of like bigger acting studio outside from high school. So I was with them for like a total of 5 years. Yeah. So I was going there, but I remember prior to that, I was like, I'm just gonna go ahead and just do acting class for a year and then start auditioning. So I think I signed with him when I was 15. And I started like going to my auditions and all that. And then, we started with the web series when I was like 18, I think. Yeah, we were young. Oh my gosh. That was like 10 years ago. More, 12 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
So crazy how time flies. And I think, I mean, I slightly do acting still, but I think, I mean, mind you, when I started auditioning, it was like 13, 14 years ago. Yeah. So there wasn't a lot of roles, especially for like Latinas. It was always like, you know, those roles that I would audition for, like the best friend that only has one line. It was never for a lead actor, never for like nothing like that. So I think when I got to college, I was like, well, who has the power to change this? And my professors were like, well, a director does, you know, a director and a writer. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to really just focus on this. And I think that that's been my main focus since I graduated college, just creating stories of really strong Latinos, you know, and bringing them to life and giving Latinos that opportunity. I mean, obviously the industry has changed so much now because now we see things like that. You know, we see Latino leads and all that. And it warms my heart. I was like, yes, like this is what we've been trying to do and doing that. But it's been a crazy ride.
Absolutely, man. So, all right, so you graduate high school, and then now you're auditioning all the time.
Yeah.
And, And then there's a point, and then that's, I think, so wait, we met, I forgot what year we met then. Because if you're 19, were you 19 when you started that? Cause started a web series with Michelle.
Yeah, I think, I was 19. So you were
18, 17?
Yeah. Yeah, you were like 18. Yeah.
Okay, was that because I know you and Michelle, I think, were the ones who had that idea to do the web series. This is life.
Just life.
Just life.
Yeah.
Just life. What made you want to like just create your own something?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of pushed you to do that? Was it like that fact that there wasn't out there anything?
I think it was that, and not just that, but we were in an acting studio. So I remember like telling Tommy, I was like, we have so many actors. Why don't we do something? Like we should do a web series, or we should do short films, and this and that. And I remember Michelle was like, yeah, like, let's do it. So Michelle was really kind of more of like the brain of just kind of like bringing these characters to life. And I was kind of, I oversaw like the production aspect of it because that's what I was graduating in. And yeah, and I think like anybody who has an acting studio, like you should get together and
with
just
their
create.
friends.
Yeah. And I feel like it was definitely a great opportunity. Like obviously our agent at the time didn't think so. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But I feel like you should, like, you know, like that's the only way to do it.
I think learn too. I think like, because I think back during that period for myself as well, because being the young person I was, I mean, I think I still am pretty young, I think, but
you are
younger. And it was so cool to do that, to work on something that was your own and to like help with friends. And I think it did kind of get tricky with maybe too many cooks in the kitchen and trying to figure like who's doing what.
Yeah, I feel like in a way I'm really grateful for that because we did kind of like a lot of mistakes that now like I bring into like my productions now, and I know how to kind of manage them better because of that experience. Yeah. So like I think like we had a large cast too. So I think like that's something that I'm bonkers. Like, I was like, I will never do. It's a lot of storylines. It's a lot of people. And if you do it, you better know exactly what you're doing. Like there's no ifs, there's no buts. Like you know exactly what you're doing. And I think something I learned too is like you can't like want to say, okay, I'm going to film a web series and you only have episode 1 written. And I think that that's a mistake that we did too, that we were writing along the way. It's like, no, sit down and write everything that it is that you want to film. And then go ahead and cast and go ahead and start filming because you have all the episodes ready to go. So yeah, again, we learned a lot, but I'm really grateful for it. And I don't know if you saw, it has a bunch of views on YouTube now.
Is it still out on YouTube?
It's on YouTube.
Like the first episode we did, or because I know you guys revived it. Again.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's because, there was like a lot of drama with the web series too, because it's like all the actors from the acting studio could no longer be actors for the web series. Like that's what happened. So I remember Michelle had to go ahead and recast just kind of like everyone. That was crazy too. I feel like now that I'm older, I definitely would have talked to my agent of like, but you don't own the actors and they're not missing your classes. Like this was literally outside of class, like something that we're doing outside of class. But I remember that's why he dropped me. He dropped me because of that. Like he was just like, you either choose a web series or you choose me. And I was like, wait, what? Like this is me creating content outside of work. You should be proud that I'm doing this. Is for my reel. This is for, and he just like over a voicemail, he was just like, oh yeah, you're dropped.
That sounds a little bit familiar in my situation with him as well. It's crazy. I did a project and he was like, all right, if you want to do that project, then I'm dropping. I'm like, all right.
But why? Like, I'm so confused. Like, I don't know. I'm just like, that was a very, and mind you, I had been with him for like 5 years. So like, I cried a lot there too.
You know, I think there is something to say about, you know, it is show business, which word is bigger. Yeah. But you do grow connections with, you know, these people who are helping you with your passion, with your dream and everything. And I recently, last year and both Anissa and I did get with a new manager. And her and I were rep by the same manager. So it was, for me, I think I've always just been more business. All right, I'm out, deuces, peace out. And for someone like Anissa, who's more involved and, you know, truly cares about you, whoever you are, she does. When the time came to even have that conversation and just to say like, hey, I'm leaving you, it was hard for Anissa.
No, definitely.
And it does, because you grow, you're with these people for years, and then out of nowhere another better opportunity comes. You kind of have to take it though, you know, or whatever differences may come, you have to make those decisions. Have you had more experiences with managers or agents after? Yeah,
like definitely after Tommy, I went ahead and I signed with somebody, and it's crazy because I thought that like Tommy's class and Tommy as an agent, that was Hollywood. And it wasn't until I started taking acting classes in LA that I was like, oh my gosh, like there's like so many amazing actors out here. And like LA is like, back then I was like, it's so big. Like there's just so many agents, so many managers. And yeah, and I ended up signing with someone who like eventually like similar to your experience. Like I think after a while I was like, okay, it's always similar to Anissa. It's so hard because I get attached to like people that I'm working with when it comes to that I'm like, oh, like sorry, but I kind of have to part ways now and this and that. Yeah, so it's just I've had my experiences like that, and I think just LA sometimes also for females can be a little scary place.
Sure.
You know, I've also had experiences where like I had an interview with an agent and I was like, oh my gosh, yes, because like he was like recommended and this and that, and just kind of not vibing, I think, with the person, just kind of being like what are your intentions? And okay, I'm gonna spill the beans. I won't say who he was because I don't think he's working anymore.
Good.
But yeah, I remember like I was like, okay, yeah, whatever, like I'll sign with you. So I signed with him, and he called me. He's like, hey, I have a job for you. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was so excited.
And this was a manager or agent?
This was an agent.
An agent.
And yeah, okay. And I remember I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, like yes, like what is it? And like it was literally like, yeah, like can you come over and like to his house? He's like, yeah, like just come over to my house. We're gonna just go ahead and like film something, but like I'll pay you. And I was like, yeah, that was my reaction. I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, like, and if you have like another friend too that you want to bring, like, I'll pay them both. And I was like,
how old were you at the time?
I was like, this was like after Tommy. I think I was maybe like 21, 22 now.
And that's still pretty young too.
Yeah, but yeah, I was like, no, like.
Well, so you said no, you didn't go.
No, I didn't go. Yeah, no, hell no. And because my gut was also telling me, like, there's something off here.
Okay, cool.
I already didn't feel the vibe when I was with him. Like you noticed it, like. You're there, like the way he's looking at you, like the way he's like, it's just no, like creepy vibes. No, like luckily Michelle was there with me actually when I went with him.
Okay.
And she noticed it too. And I was like, okay, like, no, like I think I'm and I think after that call, like I just completely dropped him and I blocked him and everything. And I think like he actually got like a sexual harassment lawsuit from like other actors he was representing. Wow. So I was like, wow, like it's crazy. It's a crazy world out there sometimes. And yeah, now I've just been very, I think, careful with like and selective. I think the minute I meet you and I'm like, if I don't vibe with you, absolutely not. Like not even if they say you're the best. No, like, but yeah, luckily right now I have a manager and he kind of just represents me when it comes to like just directing, acting, and writing.
Great, cool.
And he's great. I met him at NBC when I was working there, and he started like his own agency and all that, but he's specifically my manager. So I was like, okay, I love this, and I feel comfortable just talking to him about like just anything. I think I had dinner with him 2 weeks ago because I haven't seen him because of COVID. But yeah, I think the older you get, the more you kind of like start building your team as well of like people that you trust. And yeah, so just listen to your gut.
Listen to your gut for sure.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. Yeah, so much to talk about. Yeah. Okay. NBC. Let's talk about that. You got a job for Telemundo, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what was that experience like?
It was so surreal. I feel like I learned so much. I always say that all my gray hairs are because of Telemundo.
Great. You don't have gray hairs.
Oh, they're hidden. They're in there. It was stress. Like news in general is so stressful. Like very, very, very stressful. And especially I worked for a live show. So everything we filmed was live. And I remember it was a great experience, but I'm so happy that I honestly saw myself kind of like staying there, and I ended up getting let go because of budget cuts. So I remember at the time I didn't see it and I was like so bummed out about it. But looking back now, I was like, I'm so happy that happened because I don't think I would have done everything else I did if it wasn't for them letting me go. I think honestly I would have just stayed there because I was getting just comfortable with the pay and just everything. And I was like, oh, okay, it's fine here. But yeah, I'm so happy that you know, God just does things that sometimes I'm like, you know what, God, I don't understand why this happened right now, but it's fine. And I think sometimes in a way you kind of like hit rock bottom. And I think that was me kind of spiraling down where I was working in the industry. I had a job lined up with Telemundo the minute I graduated. I started working there. I was there for 1.5 years.
Did you get it through school, like a connection network?
Yeah,
okay, cool.
It was through an internship. And this is why I always tell people too. It's like definitely like your classmates too. You never know who's going to end up working in the industry. And I remember asking for like an internship. So like this is literally what happened. So I was at school and they were having a career fair, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I literally only had McDonald's on my resume. And I remember going to this career fair and going up to a booth at KTLA and being like, hey, here's my resume, but don't even look at it. I was like, because I only have McDonald's. I was like, I'm looking for somebody like who can give me the opportunities. Like I scrub restrooms at McDonald's. I could do that for you guys.
Yeah.
And they called me.
And you were, and I remember because you were able to post. I saw some posts from KTLA.
Oh,
so that was an internship.
That was an internship.
Okay,
yeah.
Got it.
It was not paid because back then they didn't pay for internships. So I would wake up at 3 a.m. and then literally I think work till like 10 and then go to school. And then I had like a full-time graveyard shift. So it was just like.
Were you living out in LA at
I was
the time?
living here in Ontario.
So you were coming from Ontario to KT is like Burbank or
LA. Yeah. So LA, and then from there drive to Fullerton, and then from there
school.
Yeah. And then,
Brenda,
work.
that's a hustle right there.
Oh yeah. And I think that's what I tell you, that like pressure, that little fire, like installed by my parents. I'm grateful for it because it was always like, I think I always had that eye on the prize. And then working at KTLA, I met one of my mentors, Ethan, and I remember mentioning to him, like, I really want to work at NBC. Like, that's always been my dream. And he's like, oh, I have a buddy of mine that's like doing a workshop for college students. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes. He's like, invite whoever you want to invite. I remember inviting my whole class. It was a total of like, I think 30 of us.
Oh, wow.
Only one showed up.
Wow.
Yeah. And both of us got an interview for an internship.
Did you guys both get it? Or you got it?
I got it. Yeah, I got it. And I don't know. I don't think she got it, but it was even
the
that
interview
opportunity.
to go. Yeah.
And I always tell people that too, like, because I remember some people were like, no, it's because I have work. And I was like, I had work too, but I was like, I don't see myself working at McDonald's for the rest of my life. Like, fire me if you have to.
Sure.
But I'm going to this interview and this workshop.
Sure.
And yeah, I got an internship and that led to a full-time job. And then the minute they let me go, I had luckily kind of like already made more connections, and I hopped over to Univision. So then I was there for a year. And then
and what were you doing exactly? Were you like a PA or
yeah you could say I was like a PA
assistant,
so
or
we would do like a lot of like promotion work for your for Telemundo. I was a coordinator, like in a way a production coordinator.
Got it.
So like say that like a big artist was coming into the show, I was in charge of like, hey, this is your green room, do you need anything? Okay, cool.
Oh, you're the talent.
Yeah. And then I would run on set, make sure that everything is prepared, everything's working, and then the minute we need the talent, okay, let's come on in here. And it was just, again, a lot of running around, a lot of like, okay, let's kind of like keep this show on the roll.
Yeah.
And then for Univision, I was more of like a promotion kind of like PA. So like if there was ever a telenovela that was coming out, we would do promotion through like radio, through TV, through billboards, and it was overlooking all of that.
Got it.
Which
cool.
I learned a lot when it came to that. I was like, wow, like it's just all the little steps that go into just kind of like promotion, you know? Like it's crazy. And then after that I had made connections at Telemundo with an NBC exec. I remember I just emailed her randomly one day. I was like, hey, like, I see what you do. Can I can I buy you coffee? And then we met up, we spoke, and then I saw her at an event that I was in. And I was like, oh my gosh, hey, do you remember me? I'm Brenda. She's like, oh my gosh, yes, how are you? And we just started chit-chatting. She's like, where are you working now? And I was like, oh, I'm working on Univision, but my contract is almost over. It's not getting renewed. So I'm looking for a job. She's like, okay, I'll let you know if like I hear of anything. And a month later, she emails me. She's like, hey, like there's a job like opening up in my department. Do you want the job? And I was like, yes, like please. So I went through this like 2-month process of interviewing and I got the job.
Wow.
And it was just honestly like a dream come true. It was the best team like I've ever worked for. Like they were all very strong people of color women in charge. And there's where I like one of my execs specifically did casting. So I learned so much from her of like what it takes to book a role, what it is that they're looking for, and how it is that like people wow you, you're like, oh yeah, I'm a good actor. But then, this actor took a risk and decided to do things different. So they go with that actor because of that. And then my other exec specifically focused on writing and directors. So it was just like looking at directors' cuts and seeing, okay, how did they do this good? And it's crazy. I learned so much being there. I mean, I was there for almost 3 years. Yeah. And eventually kind of like the team started kind of like, they were dismantling in a way, or like kind of like, there was a lot of like reorg happening within NBC, and there's where I started looking elsewhere. And again, like I had a friend that was like, hey, like Netflix is hiring. Do you want to send over your resume? I was like, oh my gosh, yes. So I sent over my resume, and a week later I get a Netflix call. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And yeah, they're like, let's hop on a call. And I went through like a whole month process again of like interviewing. And then I think the day of my birthday, I got the news. They're like, hey, like, do you want the job? And I was like, yes.
On your birthday. What a great birthday. I mean, it definitely, like, it sounds like networking is in the industry on top of everything. Like, even if, say, for an actor, the craft of it too, but then you also have to have the networking hustle about it in order to know whoever could go who. You never know who's going to be who, where they're going to end up at, and whatnot. And then also too, I think, Brenda, for you, your personality, I think you just got
my mom always says that too.
Yeah, I think you just know how, like, you bring this energy, and I think that's what people love about you, and that's probably why you're having so much success in your life.
Thank you. No, yeah, I feel like, I don't know, just network, and mind you, it's so weird because like, and people never believe me, but I feel like sometimes I'm more of a little kind of like timid sometimes, and I'm like, it takes like, come on, like, let's just pull it out of you, like, let's just go say hi to this person. And yeah, I remember just like networking sometimes and being so scared to like go up to a certain actor or like a director, and I'm like, no, like, Brenda, like, when else are you gonna have this chance? Like, you're in the same room with this person, like, just go in and introduce yourself. And that's how I've met like a few people, I feel like, in the industry. Like, that's how I met my current manager. Like, it's doing that, you know. And I feel everybody has to network. It's key.
I feel like I have to be honest and say I think I lost that a little bit, as far as like, I remember one of my first times I got started doing background in the industry. That's how I got my start. And I remember some of my first sets, I would like go up, like doing background, and go to the director and like just introduce the director myself to. I'm a background kid on the set of Shake It Up, and me going to the director, hey, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Bon Centeno. I'm an actor. If you ever need anything, let me know. I didn't have no business card, no nothing. But just that, fuck it, like, who could, like, and I think maybe that, I don't know if it's ignorance of not knowing how to be on a set, right? You know, because after a while, and it's like, okay, come on, like, you've never been on a set before, or stay in your lane. Like, but I think I lost that because maybe after a while, maybe no one literally told me not to do that. But sometimes it seemed to be frowned upon when you're trying to network on set. But that's the whole industry too at the same time. So right now, as we're having this conversation, you're giving me inspiration to, you know what, just go back to my roots on, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm trying to say my name. Here's a business card now. Like, what's up? Yeah,
it's the only way to go. Like, sometimes I've heard it's not how talented you are, it's who you know. And that is so true.
And
like,
who knows you?
And honestly, like, working in these studios, like, it's so true, Bamba. Like, you could be the most talented person, but if you know somebody high up there, like, trust me when I say they will go for the person that they know rather than the most talented person.
Rather than the person maybe has like dedicate, like they're
and
a great actor.
Sad. And I remember saying that and just not liking it, and it's, you know, it's part of the industry. It happens, and I mean, it's definitely something I feel that they need to fix. But how do you fix
something like that? Because when it's such a it's a social thing, I feel like because like, why not? Like, I mean, if I had an opportunity to, not necessarily even in the industry, but to an opportunity for a loved one or even a cousin of mine,
that's true.
I'm going to give it to my cousin. I know how hard and this person works. I know this person could deliver. So I'm going to go, of course, with my cousin. If he's not available, okay, who else is available that I need right now?
That's true. Yeah, you bring a good point.
but then to that, like, you know.
It feels like that person was more talented.
Right. That person this person deserves it.
But this is why we have to network. Keep going up to those directors, Bomba.
Right. Need to get back at it. So you're at Netflix now.
Yeah.
So how's that going?
It's going great. I will say Netflix is all you hear about, honestly. Like there's just so many positive things I could say about Netflix. Like I think it's everything I have ever hoped for in a job. And I think it's definitely the highest pay I have ever been paid at any other job. And I feel like with Netflix too, like they value their employees in a sense of, I remember I started with a certain amount, and then we have these evaluations every year, and I had like a little presentation like made of like, hey, like this is how I started, this is all the work that I'm doing right now, and this and that. And they saw it, and you know, because they want to keep their employees, they're like, okay, you know, we're gonna go ahead and like bump your pay. And I remember having the same conversation with NBC. I was only asking for $1 more.
Yeah.
And they were like, no. And then mind you, my bosses were amazing, and they were like, we fought for you, like we really wanted you to get this raise. And I was like, well, you know, yearly we'd have like a 3% raise. I was like, at least I'm getting like my 3%. They're like, actually, like, no, you're only getting a 1% raise. And it was like, I think like less than 25 cents. And I was like, oh, like that's so crazy. And I was doing so much work, and having that experience to now like that Netflix experience where I was like, you know what, like it's fine, I'm gonna like pitch this deck, and it might not even happen, but you know, like I'm just gonna try. And they ended up giving me a $5 raise.
Oh wow.
Like I was like, oh my, like I was literally gonna ask for like $3. I was like, thank you so much. And I think you see that the difference there of like how much it is that they value their employees, and they listen, and they're like, oh, you are doing all this work, so okay, we're gonna go ahead and like take care of you type of thing. And yeah, at least like my department right now, I'm a department assistant. So we pretty much kind of like we're floaters, I guess you can say, like in a way floaters. So say that like in drama, somebody's going for parental leave and they need someone there for 4 months, we'll go ahead and cover them for 4 months.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, but I think the cool thing about that is that you get to really experience every single department that there is in Netflix.
Nice.
And if you ever like say that, for instance, right now I'm really looking into physical production. If there's ever an opening, obviously you're already internal, so you're like, hey, I want to apply for this role, and you automatically go ahead and interview for that role. So I think that that's the beauty of having this role of just kind of hopping around and really figuring out what it is that you want to do before like permanently staying there. Yeah, with the team. So yeah, I think that's my goal for this year, to really just kind of figure out what it is that, because I love physical production. But now it's like, and Netflix has taught me this, okay, physical production, but where in physical production?
Right.
Comedy physical production, you know, drama physical production. Do you want TV? Do you want film? Do you want indie? Do you want reality? It's so big. And I'm like, okay. So it's really just honing down of like, okay, what is it that I want to do?
And then like even within that, like what do you want to do within that set, on that set or whatever? Yeah, so I for sure know I want physical production, but now it's like where in physical production. So that's my goal for this year, to figure out. Yeah. Because in August I'm going to make 2 years in Netflix. So it's like, okay, Brenda, like figure it out. Do you have something you're leaning towards already, or you're still not even there yet?
For sure. I really want to try comedy, because I feel like, I mean, I enjoy comedy, and I feel like there was a lot of really amazing comedy shows like back in the early, 2000s, and I feel like we've lost that in a way. Like I can't really think of like a great comedy show that I'm like, I mean, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Brooklyn
Nine-Nine went on for a good, had a really great run.
Oh yeah, I love that. So I'm like, shows like
Brooklyn
that.
Nine-Nine,
like, I can't.
Modern Family.
Modern Family. But that's what I'm saying. Like that was, I mean.
That came, Yeah,
but like shows right now that you can say like, oh my gosh.
That's like on still like.
On, yeah. That's a really, really good comedy show. I mean, because again, The Office was great. I liked Friends and How I Met Your Mother. But I'm like.
Have you seen How I Met Your Father yet?
I have not. Is it good? Have you watched it?
You know what I like about it is watching Hilary Duff.
I honestly, that's the only reason why I want to. I love Hilary. I grew up listening to Hilary Duff. So.
Right. So it's cool. Like, oh shit, let's Hilary Duff back on TV and like doing a show like this. That's cool. And I think it definitely is a more of a modern, for like, I guess our generation almost.
Oh yeah.
It definitely feels like our generation.
I'm definitely excited to watch that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But only time will tell to see how, I guess, of a success it turns out to be, because it could always be like a cult thing and only last one season, but people loved it. But yeah, hopefully it lasts for. We're rooting for Hilary Duff.
Yes, we are. Go Hillary.
But yeah, comedy's great. I love comedy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess off the top of my head right now.
Yeah, no, and that's me too. I'm like, and the fact that I have to Google it, really, really think about it, means I was like, there's really no standout shows. So I'm like, maybe comedy is the way to go.
Yeah.
Like, because I feel like sometimes too, like when it comes to comedies and they try to be inclusive, they go the very stereotypical route of like being like, I remember watching a pilot and they were like, we're going to put people of color in this show. And it was all stereotypical. So like the Latina was undocumented and saying like, I have to work 4 jobs illegally. And there was like a laughing track. I was like, dude, like, what?
Yeah.
It's like 2020. Like, what do you...
Why are we still telling these stories?
Yeah.
And there's so many other stories.
And then like the Asians were like
told.
super rich and like smart. And they were like, we'll pay somebody to marry. I was like, dude, come on. This is all stereotypical. And like, again, they had like each different like race, like each different race. But all the stereotypes you could think of, that was all like in the show. And I was like, this is not good.
You know what show now that I'm thinking about it? It's on... I think it's on NBC, Grand Crew. I don't know if you've seen it yet.
No, I haven't watched it.
It's an all-black cast, and it's clever. It's funny.
Okay.
I'm laughing out loud from the jokes.
I have to watch it.
But talking to like, it's hard. It is. I think it is hard to even try to, when you have like a certain, like to not talk about your race, to not talk about the stereotypical, quote unquote, attributes that come with being a certain ethnicity.
Yeah. I get it. It's just, I don't know. And I feel like with Latinx shows too, sometimes like I get that portion of it, but it's like, I always put an example of like, for instance, like, okay, Friends, they're all white.
Yeah.
They don't go around saying, but we're white.
Right.
We know you're white.
Right.
And I feel like that's what sometimes happens with like people of color, where if it's a Latino show, but we're Latinos. Yeah. We know you're Latinos. Why like
you're onto something. I think you should a Latin comedy that doesn't really talk about.
Like we get it.
Yeah.
We get it. You are, and literally I think it's literally just living your lives. It's like me and you right now. We're living our lives. I'm not here like saying like, I'm Latina and I'm not. No, we get it.
We know. Yeah.
You're Latina.
Yeah.
You're Latino. Like and I think that, because I don't know, like I feel like, and people could give me crap for this, but Friends was a successful show because in a way a lot of people related to it. Like I remember watching it and I didn't think like, oh well, Rachel's white, so I can't relate to. No, like, Rachel, like I like her character. I like Monica's character. I like Phoebe, and I kind of related to all 3 of them in a way, and that's why I like the show so much. And How I Met Your Mother, similar to that. Like I remember relating to Robin. Robin's a white woman, but I related to her, and I was like, like now if she would have went around saying, but I'm a late 20s white woman who then I'm like, oh, well, but it is what it is, and I feel we're learning as we go.
Yeah, the world is still learning.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. You had such a great success in what you're trying to do. Congratulations. What's your approach? So are you now like actively auditioning still at the same time with submitting your writing work or with auditions and stuff like that?
Yeah, like I feel like that's definitely going to be one of my goals for this year. I think because similar like with you, I think like it's really hard when you start working in the industry because like first is your job, like first is like Netflix or NBC, and then it's my auditions.
Right.
But right now with this virtual world, I feel like I have that opportunity because it's all audition taped.
Self-tapes.
Yeah, self-tapes. So yeah, that is my goal for this year of like, okay, Brenda, no, like, come on, you have to get back into it. Like, because I think acting is always going to be a passion of mine. And I've always said like, if I ever become really successful, like I'll just kind of like insert myself into my own work. Like,
oh my God, Brenda, I think with your background and your history, and then for you to be a lead, say on a show or a movie, like just the connect, you're going to, the way you'll be able to run it, you'll be,
that'd be amazing.
You're number 1 on the call sheet. And not just in the front of the camera, but you'll know exactly what the fuck is going on.
May the universe hear you, Bamba.
Yeah. No, it's going to happen for sure. And I'm excited for when that happens because hopefully you're going to get me on it.
Yes.
It's about that networking.
There you go. Yeah, I'm actually right now in the process of filming my first, I think, web series without Michelle. Michelle, if you're hearing, I love you.
Michelle's been your friend, partner, confidant, and I feel you guys are tight. You guys are close.
No, we are. We check on, I mean, we don't talk every day, but we check up on each other a lot. Like I know right now she's filming The Roommates. If you guys want to go watch it, season 1's on YouTube.
Check it out, yeah.
And yeah, I think right now she's filming season 2. So whenever she needs help, she'll like reach out, and if I'm available, I'll go help her. And I just told her about this web series that I'm doing, because I remember Michelle wanted to do like an all black cast.
Yeah.
So that gave me an idea of like, oh my gosh, I should do a web series of all Latinx cast.
Yeah.
And I'm currently like in the audition process. Like I think I'm
Cool.
already kind of like in the last round of my casting for my series. And I have a little money saved too. So I was like, okay, I want to like book a studio or book a house, wherever it is I need to book, and make this the best thing that I can make it.
Yeah.
And it's a comedy.
Great. I love it. Okay. So you're already on it. You're already doing it.
So we'll see where it goes. I comedy, I feel, is always, it's tougher to write than drama, because it depends on if the joke lands or not. So it's like, it's not just the writing, but it's also the acting. So it's like
a lot of different parts that have to fit to make it work.
That's going to be interesting. But yeah, I'm very excited. And yeah, I'm hoping to release it fall of this year.
So this show that you're working on, I'd like to talk more about that. What's your process as far as like writing the episodes or coming up with the idea for the episode, the structure of the script, like where it's gonna go?
No, definitely. I think it's definitely based on kind of like a little bit of life experience that I've gone through, you know, because the older you get, the more you're like, you see, I guess, shit go down.
Yeah.
You know, like for instance, and it's based on 4 girls who are very close, Latinas, and in a way I have 3 really good friends, and one of them is married, had been with her long time like boyfriend for like 10 years. They got married, they've been married. And then another one, she broke off like her engagement. She was engaged, she broke off her engagement like 2 months before the wedding. So it's just like going through all that, and sometimes I think it's looking at everything you've been through and making it into a comedy of like, okay, I'm going to make this into a comedy. And I feel like people can relate to it, and especially people like in their like mid to like late 20s of really trying to figure it out. And I feel like that's what the web series is about. Like, okay, like, you know, because sometimes you don't know, like when you're in your 20s. And I have a character in the web series that like absolutely doesn't know. She's like, I want to do acting, but it's like she's bartending in the meantime. And then in the meantime, she sees that one of her friends is getting a doctorate and she's going to become a doctor. And she's like, oh crap, like we're the same age and I still don't know what I'm doing with my life. And again, it's seeing both of those aspects, like the person that has like thinks that she knows it all and has it all, and then the person that's still trying to figure it out. Because again, it's like everybody's different, and I want people to be able to relate to at least one of the characters. But again, with like a comedy twist to it. And just because we're Latinos, there has to be some drama.
Right. We're Latin drama.
Yeah, yes.
So what's that process like as far as writing? Do you take time to like, how often do you get to write the episode? Or is it like right after work? All right, now script time. And then how do you balance all that with your life too? You know, living, you know, with family and all that stuff.
Yeah, I remember, so I like traveling. If you guys follow me on Instagram,
Brenda and I want to talk to you about that later, like your world traveling, because I feel like you've been everywhere.
I really enjoy
and I feel
traveling.
that just makes you a more rounded person.
Yeah. And sometimes on these flights, like, you know, you're waiting for your flight or then you're like on the flight. So I remember when I was on the flight, I had already kind of like jotted down what it was that I wanted for this web series. And it was something that I've been sitting on for like 3 years. And then I was like, no, like on my flight, I was flying to Dubai and it was like 16 hours. And I was like, okay, no, like I'm going to sit down and write this. And literally I wrote episode 1 and I revised it.
In the airport?
Like on the plane.
Oh, on the plane.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I wrote it and then I was like, okay. And then like, I was like, I'm going to sleep on it. And then I woke up the next day and I looked at it and I sent it to some friends. They're like, okay, what do you guys think? Like, what should I fix? And they're like, dude, like this is like, I mean, not to brag, but they liked it. They were like, this is really good. And I was like, okay, yes, praise the Lord. And then, it's like sitting down. And I think for me, the process is like, I have to write down like a summary of what each episode's going to consist of.
Got it.
And then from there is going back and being like, okay, like I'm just going to type this out now. And I think a mistake sometimes that people do, like especially new writers, I feel, they'll go ahead and start writing and then all the characters sound the same. So it's like really knowing your characters as well. Like, you know, if this person is an introvert, they're not going to get up and start dancing in the middle of nowhere. You know, they're introverts. Like that's more of an extroverted type of character. And sometimes they'll do that. And I'm like, no, like you need to know your character very well of like, would my character say this if they're an introvert? Or would my character say that if she just got, you know, cheated on? Like, what would she say? How would she feel? And it's like writing. So that's why I like writing like little summaries of what each episode is going to consist of, and then being like, okay, what is going to be the reaction of this character? How's this character going to feel? And yeah, just developing them and knowing your characters very well. And again, I think maybe because it's based on my friends, I know how each of my friends will react. I know how I would react. And yeah, we'll see. I think like episode 1 starts with like the wedding getting canceled. Like
Yeah.
the bride doesn't show up.
Oof. Oof.
So it's gonna be fun. And I'm excited. I'm excited to show it. And TikTok's so big right now too. I was like, I'm gonna post it on YouTube and TikTok, like by parts.
The series on TikTok. Okay,
yeah,
gotcha,
yeah.
gotcha.
Like, and if you want to watch the full thing, check it out on YouTube.
Yeah. See what happens next.
Yeah.
Okay, leave those cliffhangers and everything, right?
Literally, yeah.
And I'm sure being an actor too helps you, be able to understand character point of views.
Yeah.
Which leads me to my other kind of topic. Like, what's your approach towards acting? What's your technique or method? There's so many different types. Like, when you first get an audition for something, what's kind of the first things that you do?
Yeah, I think the first thing is really just understanding the character of like, why is the character doing what she's doing? And I think definitely just going through there. And sometimes they'll provide like the whole script. So like I'll read the whole script, or
it's awesome when they do that too.
Oh yes. And obviously sometimes for certain reasons they can't or they won't provide the script. So now it's like, really doing like a character breakdown of, okay, how is this character, what is her past? What led her to this point in her life? And it's just really, I think, becoming the character. Like for instance, if it's something dramatic, it's like, okay, like how is this character feeling? And sometimes even if the script says like, don't get emotional, maybe this character is emotional. And so it really depends. But I feel those character breakdowns are really, really good. And that's, I think that's how you really understand the character of like, okay,
yeah,
let's do this.
Have you mastered the self-tape yet?
I don't know. I feel like I'm always learning.
Yeah. I am too. I'm always like different lighting setups all the time. Like this
different backgrounds. You're like, should I do this? Like right now when I was watching the audition tapes for the web series, I was like, oh my gosh, like these backgrounds have like upped their games. Like this looks amazing.
Yeah. Does that help you make your decision and the quality of the self-tape itself? Or you just specifically just look for the acting?
Yeah, specifically the acting and
if they're right for the part.
Yeah. And mind you, like I'm telling you, like when I was like specifically for the role of Elena, like she's a very strong character. And I remember I was like, and I told each actor, have fun with it. Like, this is like lighthearted comedy, like obviously with like a hint of drama in it, but have fun with it, make it your own. Like there's no wrong choice, make bold choices. And there were some actors that just really played it safe. And I feel like they didn't stand out as much as like the actors that really like maybe even improv like some lines in there. Like, the girl that I'm casting for that role, like the minute I saw her audition, I was like, this is her. Yeah. Like she embodied that character so well. And it's so cute because like, I have a friend who's a photographer and he called me and we had like, something like a photo shoot that was happening on Thursday and he invited me and that actress. I couldn't go because I was like, again, like I'm prepping to like film. So I went like location scouting. And then I was like, oh, like, did she go? It's like, no. I was like, she said that she had auditions. And I was like, yeah, she had my audition. She was auditioning for 2 roles. And I was like, and then mind you, the audition wasn't due until Friday night. So I was like, she could have easily gone. But like, she's like, she really wanted to prepare. And you could tell she was really prepared. Like it was so great. She made a lot of bold choices. And I was like, you're her. Like, yeah, that's it.
Oh, no, that's definitely, bold choices. That's what really gets you to stand out, not just for the sake of doing it, but really make it more intentional with those choices.
Yeah, and really make it, because if you really sit down and think about it, like casting directors have to go through so many self-tapes. Like think about that. And if it's all the same thing over and over and over again, they're going to go ahead and get the person who was different, and the person that stood out. And I was like, okay, like that person stood out. And again, like working with casting, like with my exec over at NBC, like I noticed that, like being in the audition room, like, oh, that person really played it safe. And those are the conversations that they have. Like, oh, I really just wish that they would have like played with it more. Like that's been some feedback that I hear. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is what you guys talk about. Like, this is what I need to work on, because I've played it safe several times when it says like, do this. And sometimes like, don't go to script, like make sure you do it. And you don't make those bold choices. I was watching an interview with Tom Holland, like the new Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And he literally said that when he was auditioning, they said, you know, Marvel really doesn't like that you go off script. But he's like, I'm going to go off script. And he booked it.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, he improvised like some of the lines, and like I was watching like his self-tape, and then I was watching like they had like the producers meeting where like they bring in like, you know, Iron Man and all that, and he has to read with them.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
He like, okay, that line where like he's like, oh, a little help here, and like you Captain America starts laughing. That was improvised. That wasn't in there, and I was like, that's why they fell in love with him, and because he made those bold choices of being like, people are telling me that Marvel doesn't, you know, like, you know, me going off script. Well, this is me, and I'm gonna make it my own, and I'm gonna go off script. And he booked it, like, and everybody loves him.
And that's so contradictions I feel sometimes for actors, because actors, I think, get too in their heads because they hear stuff that don't go off script. Mm-hmm. They hear that all that don't go off script. It's the writer's words. Yeah. These are, you got to make it. Now, I wonder if that translates, if that's true for certain shows that have been on the air for so long, like an NCIS or something like that. So, you know, like do they, because I feel like those shows that are just oil machines, that are just cranking out shows, they really want you to be this way. Or it's sounding like you really have to pick and choose when to have that kind of like,
no, that's so true,
off the leash type of mentality.
Yeah,
off the script.
I definitely feel like Marvel though is like, we've watched Marvel, we love Marvel. Like you could have easily gone off script. Like, you know,
I think Marvel definitely wants like for them to tell you don't be like.
Yeah, Marvel doesn't like you going off script. He's like, well, I'm gonna go off script. Yeah.
And fuck you, I'm Tom Holland. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, there you go.
Mate or whatever. I don't know what.
No, he's British.
He's British. But I think too, with having that mindset of like, no, I had this intuition that I have for it. I'm gonna do it like this, you know. And even with the character breakdowns in casting, sometimes they're so generic and they don't give you anything to go based off. So you kind of have to. And I think that's probably why actors maybe play it safe, because they don't see that character description as information. They just see like, okay, this is exactly how I have to do it. Opposed to, no, dude, this is your chance to fucking do, because they don't even know themselves.
That's
maybe
true.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's just it's crazy, but when it's for you, it's for you. You know.
Yeah, that role is meant for you. There's a role that's meant for you already in the works.
Yeah, and I feel like you know the people that never get that role is because they quit. You know, it's like, I mean, we've been in the industry for how long? Like,
I started. When I was, as soon as I graduated, that's when I got with.
Yeah, I've been doing it now for like 14 years.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, 14 years. Yeah, I'm going on 15 years. That's so crazy. Oh my gosh. Yeah, because I had my first audition when I was like 15, like 16. Yeah, like 15. I'm turning 30 this year. So yeah, like 15 years. But yeah, again, it's just keep doing it. And I've never seen myself doing anything else. And yeah, again, like and in a way, I feel like it's always good. You could be creative, but definitely have a job that sustains you.
Yeah, it does.
You know, whether you're doing bartending or waitressing, you know.
Has it been complicated to like really like get an audition and shoot the self-tape and go to work? Or it's, for the most part, for your life has been set up pretty good where you have that flexibility to.
No, I've luckily had, I feel like when I started NBC, because I was in office, I did have to stop auditioning as much. Just because of that. And then I would just tell like my agent, hey, if there's any self-tapes, I'd rather do that. Or, you know, if you could just schedule it during my lunch break, I'll go during my lunch break. And that's how I would do it. And then again, like then eventually I just COVID came. So I just really, really slowed down. And then this year I was like, okay, we're still working from home. So I'm like, let me just do it. Like, I'm in the process of taking new headshots. Because my agent was like, these are 3-4 years old, so we need new headshots.
I agree with that. I think you got to update yourself. You got to
Yeah. So I'm in the process of that right now. And then, just going full force. I mean, it's 2022. We got to keep going.
Yeah, got to keep going. Who are you thinking of getting headshots with?
Oh, my photographer friend.
Great.
He's been doing headshots. Like, he's been working in the industry as well. If you ever need any photographers on set or headshots yourself, he's great. Oscar Moreno.
What's your take on headshots? Is it like you're supposed to go different character looks? Is it like, no, this is me? Or is it like more of a feeling?
I don't know. I just kind of feel like, obviously, like, like a commercial kind of like if you're smiling, you're not going to submit for a dramatic role.
Right.
You know, you're going to submit more of like a rough, tough, like kind of like mad headshot type of thing. Those headshots are always so interesting too. I feel like, you just got to know what you need and want, I guess. And mind you, I haven't taken headshots in 4 or 5 years. So I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, how do you do headshots now?
How do you do headshots? Exactly. Like I want to talk to you about you traveling the world, because I feel there was a certain, because we don't hang out really that much.
Yeah,
we just
should.
but I like to see all my friends on Instagram and see what they're up to. And I just feel like out of nowhere, you hit the ground running as far as like traveling. And like every time I go on, I see you like at a new location.
Yeah.
What's that been like for you, like traveling the world?
It's been great, honestly. Like I feel traveling just opens your world up so much. Like you learn so much about just different cultures and the way people live. And I think it's been really like eye-opening for me to travel and just be like, wow, there's just so much more besides just, Ontario, besides California, besides the US. Like the world is so big. And I love traveling, and I feel like that's something I'm always going to do. And I waited to travel, I really wanted to have graduated college and really just be in a stable kind of place with my career. So I officially started traveling like 4 years ago. And every year I like to take like 2 major trips. I feel like, and then also because most of my friends don't travel. Like I'm the only one. Do
you travel solo?
I have before, yeah. So I went.
What's that like being, so on your own? Like you have no one to really have your back out there.
I will say it's scary. Like I think the first time I did it was really, really scary. And that's because one of my friends missed his flight, and then he's like, "Oh my gosh!" Like he couldn't book another one. He's like, "I can't go," and I was like, "Dude, like what?" So I ended up going by myself, and I remember I was hitting up Seattle and Vancouver. So I was like, I landed in Seattle and I was like, oh my gosh. And luckily I had an old high school friend there, and she saw that I was there. She's like, oh my gosh, like you can stay with me. And I was like, no way. So I ended up like canceling my reservations at like the Airbnb that I had, and I stayed with her. And then from there I got a car and I drove to Vancouver, and then I stayed at a hostel, and I met so many amazing people that I still follow on Instagram, and we like catch up and all that. And I don't know, I think like traveling by yourself kind of makes you like kind of not be shy, like to literally just introduce yourself and talk to people, and in a way you get to do everything that you want to do, because I think sometimes when you travel with people it's like, oh, but I don't want to do that, because I love doing like museums and hikes and all that.
You can take your time with it.
Yeah.
You don't have to feel rushed.
Oh yeah. And then I remember, maybe that's why my friend missed his flight and didn't book another one. Because when I told him I want to do museums and hikes, he's like, oh, I was thinking we're just going to party. Like, I think we're just going to go to bars. And I was like, we could go to bars here. Like, I'm so confused. No, like, we'll hit up one bar and then we'll, like, get lit. But, like, no. Like, I want to, kind of, like, have these experiences. And I think that's why he missed his flight, honestly.
Wow.
And that's, like, everywhere I go. Like, I'm like, okay, like, let's do that. This year, I'm going to the Dominican Republic in March.
Cool.
And to Greece in May.
Wow, so Brenda.
It's gonna be amazing. Awesome. Yeah. And Greece has definitely been on my bucket list for a while. So I'm very excited. But yeah, so when I started traveling alone, I had a friend that was like, hey, there's this Facebook group of like women who travel by themselves. I was like, no way. So I joined it. And then when I joined it, a girl posted of like, hey, it's gonna be my birthday next year in May. I want to go to Dubai. And I was like, oh my gosh, like Dubai would be such a dream. Like, okay, I was like, I think I'm in. And mind you, it was in a way a scary, crazy experience, because you're planning this trip with strangers. You don't know them like at all. And it was a group of 10 of us, and all women. Yeah, all women. And then I remember we're like, oh my gosh, okay. And obviously for safety, we're like, let's go ahead and like just text everybody like your ID, like just so we make sure you're real. Because I remember one of the girls, the one that had posted, had no Instagram, and like on Facebook she only had one picture, and she had just created like the Facebook
sketch.
Yeah, oh yeah, super sketchy. And I was like, and all of us were like messaging each other. I was like, do you think she's legit? Like, what's going on? Then I remember one girl's like, well, screw it, let's just go. If we get kidnapped, like they can't kidnap all of us. So like, don't say that.
Yeah.
Like Dubai is 16 hours away. My parents will never find me.
There's a whole different laws out there. A whole different way of life.
Yes. Like that's another thing too. I do so much research before going, you know? So like I just everything. And especially because in Dubai, it's like, they're more strict. Like I think these models got arrested for taking nude pictures in like their own hotel room.
Wow.
They got like that. That's a big no. Like you can't take pictures of like people themselves. They will go up to and be like, don't take pictures of me. And they did do that to like a girl that was trying to take a picture of like a building, and they thought they were taking pictures of them. They went up to her like, you need to delete that. She's like, oh no, I was taking a picture of that. They're like, oh, okay. So like, you have to be very careful with that. But honestly, overall, Dubai is such a beautiful, beautiful place. Like it's rich. like I think that's the best way. There's no like filth. It's so clean. Like you won't even see like a gum on the sidewalk. It's so clean. And wow. Yeah, I will say like that's been one of my, I think, best trips that I've taken, and I saved a lot of money for that trip.
I'm sure you would have to.
Yeah. But yeah, now the girls are they're the ones I'm going to Greece with as well. So like
cool.
we're all traveling now. And
so was that one sketchy lady or legit person?
No, she was great. Yeah, there was a reason why she and because I messaged her like before going. I was like, I have to message her like, hey girl, like why don't you have any pictures? Like why did you just create your Facebook? I was really blunt with her, and she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. She had a story. Like she was just going through some stuff like with her ex like boyfriend's family and all that. And I was like, okay, like she explained everything, and I was like, okay, like it's fine. Right. Like I totally get it. I was like, but
good to know on our end.
Yeah, I was like, but send me your ID.
That's amazing. I mean, through all of that, do you traveling? Do you have a boyfriend? Do you like like? Are you about that life? Like to do you ever want that or do?
Yeah, I mean, I had a boyfriend. I think we dated for like 2 years, and we traveled together. So like,
because it seems like you're such a larger than life, person. I can only imagine to have time now for a relationship. Because I know what it takes for that time that you need to give for your partner.
And it's a lot. And I feel sometimes one thing that I'm learning is to not have it, like at least for my next boyfriend, not have the relationship consume me, because that's what I do. Like I give myself just everything, and I lose track of like having family time. I lose track of like spending time with my friends. I lose track of like my self-care and what makes me happy, because now it's just like me and my boyfriend. I travel, me and my boyfriend. You know, I go with family, me and my boyfriend. I, brunch with girls, me and my boyfriend. Like it's, and that's how I was. And it happens, like like my friends too, like anytime I invite them, it's like, oh, I'm going to be now husband. I was like, okay, it's fine. But sometimes I'm like, it'd be good to just have like a girls' day, or like maybe there's some stuff I want to talk about without your boyfriend or husband there, like
girl stuff.
But that's definitely something that I learned, and like a big mistake that I did, I feel, in my last relationship, that I just, again, everything was just me and my boyfriend. And I think when you lose that person, you in a way kind of like feel lost yourself, because it's been you and them for a while. Then you're like, oh shoot, like who am I without them? And I think it's going through that like experience of like obviously grief, because they're like, I refuse to ever text him or call him.
Right.
And because you lost that person, and it's just figuring out who you are again. And I feel like, now I've been single, 3 years now. But
in those 3 years, I feel like there's been so much that has gone in your life. And with the traveling too, I feel, I've had friends too who like just go off and like go and travel, and they come back. They really become a changed person. And it seems like you really know who you are too, Brenda. Yeah. And it's so cool to see.
No, yeah, thank you. And I feel like in a way I had to go through that and that bad like breakup and all that to just really figure it out, because I feel like now I'm at a place that you know, if I find someone like you said, like I know who I am, and you know, and I feel like I need that from that person too, where they know who they are, because I also
you can't get someone who's maybe or would you? I don't know. You trying to get someone who's trying to figure themselves out, and if like, yeah, I don't mind it, but you are in a different place in your life where
I feel like definitely know who you are.
Yeah.
Like that's and mind you, like I never ask like something from a significant other if I myself don't have. Like if I know who I am, and I, you know, like, you know, I'm asking that from you too, it's because I have it, like, or because I know who I am, you know, or like, yeah, like the other day I think I was talking to one of my friends, because she was all like, oh yeah, like if I date a guy, he has to make over 6 figures. And I was like, well, are you making 6 figures?
Yeah. How are you gonna
and she's like, well, no. And I was like, then how do you expect to get a man that is making 6 figures if you yourself are making 6? I was like, girl,
yeah.
I was like, come on, if you're gonna ask that from a man, you better have that too.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, in a way, that's my take in it. You know, I can't expect or say like, oh, he needs to have this if I myself don't. Obviously, if I say I want him 6 feet, I can't be 6 feet. I'm 5'2", but,
right.
but you get the point. Yeah. But yeah, we'll see. Again, I feel like luckily, because I feel like sometimes when you're like you grow up in a Latino household, like it's like, oh my gosh, you're turning 30. Like, yeah. Like, what's going on? Like, luckily I don't have parents like that. Like, if it was for my dad, I'd be like, stay single your whole life.
Yeah. You do Tinder or Bumble or anything like that?
I just started. Like, I literally just like downloaded the app. So
wait, which one?
I have Bumble and the Facebook dating.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. What's that like? I mean, it's I don't know, like maybe because again I haven't dated in 3 years, and I'm like, oh, how do you do this? And it's so I'm so awkward when it comes to dating, like so awkward, bonbon. It's like and I don't know, like I just feel like everybody's out to like murder you on these dating apps.
You gotta be careful. No, you gonna have to have your guard up for sure.
No, yes, yeah.
Or maybe give some guys a chance.
Yeah. I'll see. I don't know. I just like I'll start talking to some of them, and then. For me, like a big turn off is like,
show me your boobs. What?
No, literally that. Oh my gosh,
this conversation was going so great.
Yeah. We're like, we'll be talking, and I don't know where yet. They'll be like, oh, so when do you want to hook up? Oh, come on, dude. Like we were going so well. Yeah. Like, I don't know. And again, because I'm not just dating just to date. Like if I'm like gonna like date, it's because, you know, again, like I'm turning 30 this year. Like it's because I want something serious. Like we see this going somewhere serious. And if like literally like within the first conversation, it's like, let's hook up. I'm like, no, like that's it. We're done.
Yeah. Over. Thank you next.
Yeah.
Not
yeah.
even thank you. Just next.
Next. Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, I try not to log on to it too much because I don't want it to consume me. And again, I'm just doing so much right now. And then I don't know. At the end of the day, I told my mom too, like, I'm happy, you know, like if I meet someone and that's fine, but if not, like it's not like I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so alone, I'm gonna die alone. Like, no, I'm okay.
Yeah, it seems like you got to figure it out, Brenda. Yeah,
like I'm fine. Like I totally see myself like eventually just adopting a child, and you know I'm planning on buying my first house this year.
Awesome. Well, hopefully I can help you with that.
I know. Yeah, I want to buy like my first, I guess, like asset. I'm either looking to duplex or just like a house where I could rent out and have that passive income.
Yep.
I've literally been looking everywhere. Like I just started. I'll
start sending you stuff.
Oh my gosh, yes. I submitted 2 offers, but the market's so crazy right now. Like I found some duplexes in Bakersfield, and it was like for like I think like 150, and I was like, put 190, and somebody put like 250, and I was like, my God.
Yeah.
Like that's so insane. And then I found a house in LA. I want to go see it last week. And it was for like 400. So I was like, oh, put 450. But I'm like, in my head, I was like, someone's definitely going to put like 600. Yeah, I know it.
Yep.
And then no, I'm like, man. So yeah, I've kind of like been in the hunt, and it's again like my dad does like remodeling and all that.
Oh, so you have your guy.
Yeah. So even if it's like obviously like not that beaten down, but like something that we could invest in it a little, and then I could like rent it out and you know again have that passive income. And I think like those are like at least my quote unquote personal goals. And then my parents are getting older too, so we've just been looking into like businesses to like invest and all that. Yeah. And again, I'm like, I mean, I'm fine. I'm happy.
Yeah.
And I know my Catholic boys out there somewhere.
Yeah. You Catholic raised boys out there waiting for you.
Yes. I started going to church. I was like, maybe my husband's at church.
Yeah, maybe. Right? Maybe.
Yeah, but again, it's fine with time. I don't want to rush it. I'm in no rush. I think like sometimes, like when you see your friends, because both of my best friends are married, and then one of them, I know she's gonna get engaged. I'm waiting for it. I know it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm fine. And I think sometimes they're like they went on like a couples thing, and I was like, why wasn't I invited? Like, no, I'm totally fine. Like, I could bring a friend. Like,
I could be like, yeah. I'll take photos.
I don't want to be left out. Like,
let me come. Come on, let me hang out. Brenda, if there's any advice that you would give to anyone, whether it be any kind of pursuit in this entertainment industry, well, I mean, I know it's kind of a broad question, but what kind of advice would you give?
I would definitely say, honestly, like, just simply don't give up. And I feel like that's like so cliche, but it's a tough industry. Like if you're barely getting in it, know it that it's a tough industry, and you will get the most rejection than any other. Like, yeah.
And not even direct rejection, but just like indirect, like
we want someone else.
You get ghosted a lot.
Yeah, literally, yeah. And just keep doing what you're doing, keep hustling. And honestly, if you are an actor, whatever it is, you're a creator, writer, director, you're getting into the industry, dude, don't just focus on, like, oh, I'm just gonna audition. Dude, there's TikTok, there's Instagram, there's YouTube. Create your own content. Yeah. Because like a perfect example, Issa Rae. Issa Rae did a web series that she filmed on her phone. HBO saw it, and they're like, hey, we're going to pay you millions of dollars now, and you're going to star in it. So I'm like, do that. Hentified as well was a web series, and Netflix picked it up, and they did like a really good job with it.
Great run, 2 seasons. Hey, come on. That's
So I'm like, you never know who's watching. So I think that would be my advice. Create. Just never stop creating, and keep learning, keep reading, keep watching videos. If you're an actor, you better. I hate when actors are like, what show are you watching right now? Oh, I don't watch shows. What? That's your job. Like, what do you mean you don't watch shows? Like, come on. Like, you have to make time, while you're in the bathroom, like, play a show, like something.
Clean your house, play something. Just have it in the background.
Yeah. Like, it's as if you're, like, asking a musician, so who's your favorite artist? Oh, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, you have to know. You have to know what's going on. Read the trades.
Yeah, read the trades.
All that. Just be aware of the industry that you're getting yourself into, what good shows are out there, because trust me when I say people are going to ask you, and especially like sometimes in interviews, if you're ever interviewing, I always get that question. So what shows are you watching? And they're like, they want to know. Oh, and whatever I say, oh, so what did you think of season 2? And you have to know what to answer. Like, like luckily, I watch a lot of shows.
So what shows are you watching, Brenda?
I just finished and I'm going to promote Netflix.
Yeah, shout out to Netflix.
It's this is a long title. It's The Woman of the House Across the Street from the Girl in the Window.
Yes,
I think I said that right.
With Kristen.
Kristen Bell.
Kristen Bell.
Yeah, I binged that. I watched it in one day. It has a twist on the end, so definitely watch it. I was like, that is
check it
okay.
Out. I just we're watching Peacemaker right now. HBO Max.
And you're watching.
I know it's a DC show, but it's the commentary on it is very like and that point of view, a perspective from a writer director to have that ideas and like characters, it only comes from a certain way of upbringing. That's why these creators really embrace who they are and where they come from. Yeah. And that's what is important, I think, too.
Oh, yeah. And I love that. I love just DC and Marvel. Sometimes I think I was like, wow, this came out of somebody's head. Yeah. Like somebody.
All these,
I was like, that's art. Like, that's so crazy. And I just, wow. But yeah, so if you guys have any crazy ideas, just put them out there. They might not be too crazy.
Right. Exactly. No. Right. Exactly. Yeah. There's no such thing. Put it out there. Just do it.
Yeah. Put it out there.
Brenda, thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun. Got to get you next. You're going to be a guest on the show again. Yes. We'll get you back on. And be on the lookout for her, guys. Follow her journey.
Yes.
Where can they follow you?
You guys could follow me on Instagram at Life of Brenda, and does DUH, Life of Brenda.
There it is, guys. Thanks so much, Brenda.
Thank you, Bom Bom. So great chatting.
That's it. All right. Should we get like lunch? Maybe like a kale salad or something?